Okay. So what are the roadblocks to self-awareness? High status or privilege. So I'll explain this. So some of us, we usually underestimate, you know, we usually underestimate how much like our privilege, if you're someone that has influence, we usually underestimate how these things how people react to us and let us go scot-free with a lot of things. So for example, and we overestimate our capability. So for example, imagine someone that maybe you got a job because you know so and so person, right? And you get on the job and you are not really doing, your performance is not up to par, but because you were referred by somebody else or this particular person, people might not be quick to let you know, so you might not see the true picture of what's going on, right? That's just an example, and it's just something to be mindful of if you're someone that has a lot of influence, or you have privilege, or you have kind of a high status, right? You might be, that's something that can block you from being truly self-aware, because people might not tell you exactly where you're falling short, right? So that's something to be aware of. Then early or past success. So this reminds me of a time when I was in primary school. So alhamdulillah, I've always been someone that I've been above average, or even very maybe top five. You see me in top five, top three, and everything. So right from a young age, people would hail you and all that stuff, right? And at a point, you just feel like you cannot fail. You can. But when it was time to write common entrance, I went from like, oh, one of the top three, top five in my set, and I did this common entrance, and I came 60th, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, is it me, star girl? Right? How did I get there? Do you understand? So that moment made me realize that it's like, Seki, you're not the best things in sliced bread. Or that you really need to work. You need to work on yourself. Don't think that don't be a local champion, basically, right? So early success sometimes can skew our beliefs about ourselves. It might make you, relaxed, and you are not able to really see where you need to improve upon, or you just carry that same belief and think you can apply it to everything, and not knowing that it doesn't really work that way. So that can be a roadblock to self-awareness. It doesn't mean you should not be self-aware, but like I said, once you're aware of these roadblocks, then you can mitigate them. And our beliefs about ourselves, right? So some of us, like we think we are the best things in sliced bread, and which is a good thing. It's good to have, self confidence and all that, but sometimes it can get a little bit too much, right? And those things can skew, your true abilities, your true capabilities, right? And that's just naturally, we want to self-preserve as human beings. So you need to be careful and make sure. And all these things, this roadblock, the key is knowing, being aware that there are possible roadblocks, right? Don't just think that, it doesn't apply to me. The idea is you need to know that, okay, these are some of the things that are lurking in the background that can be potential roadblocks, or are even currently affecting you. So as I'm speaking, you might identify that, I think that this might be affecting me. You want to write that somewhere. Our behavior, some of us, the way we behave can prevent people from even, telling us who we truly are, right? And a good proponent of self-awareness, like I said, is getting feedback from others, knowing how people see us. And the only way to do that is actually get feedback from other people. No matter how much we introspect and reflect and everything, if we do not seek feedback, we will most likely never know how other people perceive us. Our feelings, by default, human beings, we think that we use logic to make decisions, but research has actually shown that by default, we use our feelings to make decisions, right? So most of us will think, oh, we are logical thinkers and all that, but most times so think about the last decision that you made. Was it based on logic or on feeling? Oh, I feel like this dress will make me feel pretty, or I think I will look good in this dress. Is it true? Is it the truth? You don't really know, right? Except maybe you look at yourself objectively and you say, okay, this type of dresses, this style, I've worn them before, and people have told me that it looks nice, and even I can feel like, oh, I feel, on top of the world, this type of dress. But you'll never know, except you have like past evidences, or you're thinking objectively about it, that okay, this type of dress, this type of style, this is what suits my type of body, blah blah blah. But at the baseline, we are choosing it because maybe we like the color and we like how it will make us feel. So our feelings can also be a roadblock to self-awareness. Then first, proper self-esteem. So we are living in a world where everybody wants to hype us, we are all hyping each other. Oh, you're doing great, way to go, and all those things, which is good. It's good to encourage. Someone like me, I can even be guilty to say, okay, yes, I will encourage you and push you to do what you need to do. But you also need to be careful. Know when to call yourself and sit down and be like, Oga, you need to actually think about this thing that you're doing, where is there opportunity to improve? What do I know that I'm just rubbishing myself? What do I know that if I'm being realistic, this thing is not working? Because some people will hype you till there's nothing to hype anymore, right? So you need to know self-esteem. There's this currently we are in a season, or in an environment where people are hyping us, overhyping us. So we need to call ourselves to others. So that can be a roadblock, because imagine if you are working on a project and people are saying, oh, you're doing great and everything, and in reality it's not great. There are places that you can, and you can't blame people, because we'll get to that. You can't blame people, because human beings, the research has shown that we would rather tell a white lie, or even lie blatantly, than tell somebody the truth if we know that the truth is going to hurt the person, especially if the person is like close to us and all that, right? So we want to have that. So you need to be aware of all those things. And instead of being special, so we think we are unique. Again, growing up, some of us, even now, parents, everybody, were like, oh, we don't want to make our child feel bad. We want to hype them, but we need to know that we need to tell them the truth. If you lost, you lost. Don't come and tell me that everybody is a winner. You're not. The child did not win. So tell the child the truth, right? So when when we feel special, we feel like, oh, we deserve more. We are better than others. So those are some of the things. And of course, someone that thinks that they're better than others, nobody wants to be around them, right? And people, again, will not tell you the truth. So you yourself, you need to know that these are common pitfalls. So don't think that you're unique or you're special. Newsflash, we are about 6 billion people in the world. So chances that you are so special is very, very slim. So yes, you're special. Allah created you. You are your own person, but don't think that you are better than any other person, because a lot only said there's many of us to go around. So you are not exactly like special, so that you don't feel that sense of entitlement. Nobody wants to be around someone that feels entitled, right? So more roadblocks, distractions, social media. And this one is very important for us, because so before I morphed in Saba into a community, one of my fears is, social media. If I had my way, I would not be on social media. I would rather not be on social media, right? Because there's just something about it. We tend to start becoming so outwardly focused that we lose touch of ourselves, right? And like I said, with the hyping, with everything, everybody's commenting, liking, and all that, it's very easy to get distracted. So you find that you tend to now focus everything outwardly. You're just thinking, oh, this is how I should curate my life, so that people can see this, and you lose touch with yourself. And there you now start losing awareness of yourself, right? So you need to be very careful with social media. Know that it is a distraction. Most of us have to be there, because we have to be there. We have businesses we are running on there, and some of us just genuinely want to share, right? We want to share. So a good way to overcome this roadblock of social media is, have the intention, again, back to intention, that, your social media is going to be used for, good. You're going to either contribute to, different things. You might just want to share something, knowledge you've learned, not that you are going there to curate your life or share only the good part of your life. No, you're sharing. You're sharing the truth, the reality of things that are happening. You're informing people. You're trying to, empower people. You're trying to entertain and not like silly entertainment again. But yeah, you're trying to either entertain or cause someone to be inspired to maybe want to do better, right? So it's how you use social media. It doesn't mean that social media is bad, but you just need to be aware that, you know, if you don't have the right intentions, it's very easy for you to get blindsided, and you lose touch of who you really are, right? Then the fear of vulnerability. So being vulnerable exposes us, it makes us want to, you know, we are afraid to ask ourselves hard truths or confront hard truths about ourselves. So that can be a big roadblock to self-awareness. Some people have had a conversation with someone and she's like, she does not want to shake things up in her life. She knows something is wrong, but she just doesn't want to confront it because she just feels like, oh, I'm okay the way I am, right? And if she had confronted this thing, chances are, you know, she would be able to do better. But she's afraid, right? Because actually being vulnerable means that you're exposing yourself. There's a possibility that somebody else can use it to hurt you, right? Either at that moment or in future. But, you know, you need to ask yourself hard questions. We cannot run away from it. Then lone wolf syndrome, some of us are the Amadi says that we need to rewire the conversations around failure. It's okay to fail. Without failure, there really isn't success anyways. Yeah, they're intertwined. Yeah. So lone wolf syndrome. So some of us are introverted, which is not bad. You know, there are lots of introverts. There are also lots of extroverts. There are people in between. But you need to be aware that, you know, as someone that is extroverted, there are times where you need to actually seek counsel. There are times that you need to call people to help you out. And someone that is extroverted also needs to know that it's not everything that you just open your mouth and talk. There are sometimes you just need to be in solitude and think deeply about something that you want to do. But this one, I'm talking about lone wolf syndrome. So a lot of us, we are so alone in everything that we are doing that we don't even know whether what we are doing is making sense or not, or maybe we are even living to our full potential, or we are even, you know, there's a character flaw that we can fix. We are just on our own. We are so, like, we don't have anybody else that is telling us anything that say, okay, you know what, I feel like, oh, you can do better in this, or you're doing great in this. We believe what we think we know, right? Because we are just alone. So it's just something, there should be a balance, right? There are some of us that we do things on our own, or that's our default, but you need to know when, you know, you need to seek counsel, you need to know when, you know, to call people in to help you and support you. Then oversensitivity to criticism, right? Before, I will not ask you for feedback because I get so hurt easily, right? But I've learned over the years, it doesn't mean that it will hurt you any less, but you are aware that this is who I am. So you know how to comfort yourself. Because if you react, you know, they give you feedback and you are just, no, you don't accept, you are just quick to defend yourself. Nobody will want to give you feedback again. And that's a major roadblock to self-awareness. So some of us, we are extremely sensitive. We react too dramatically to feedback, right? So nobody will want to tell you the truth, right? So we need to be able to, you know, control ourselves when we are seeking feedback. Control yourself, right? Don't be too sensitive. Don't separate the feedback from yourself. Don't think that a feedback is talking about the person that you are, not necessarily, right? You need to learn to separate that. So being aware that, okay, this is how I am, this is how I react to, you know, criticism would help you a lot. Then mom effect. So there's a research that shows, like I said, that human beings, we do not like to be the one to hurt anyone. So we would rather lie, right, than tell you the truth and say, okay, this is if I ask you for feedback, and it's not because I'm actually asking you for feedback. I didn't say come and give me feedback randomly. I'm asking you, but because, you know, maybe I love you so much or I respect you, I do not want to tell you the truth, right? So I'll rather lie, or I'll even rather tell somebody else than tell you. So that is a potential roadblock that you need to be aware of. Then reluctance to seek feedback. So some of us are reluctant to seek feedback, like I said, because either we are scared, we don't want to be hurt, or some of us feel like, oh, I mean, overconfidence comes in here. I don't need feedback. I'm good. You know, I'm blazing on all fronts, so I'm good. I don't need any feedback, right? And some of us, again, it's just that fear that, you know, I do not want to be hurt. I don't want to be scarred, right? So that is that's some of the reasons why some of us don't seek feedback. But you need to understand that feedback is very essential. There's only so much we can see. We are just gazing at ourselves. There's only so much we can see. We need input from other people to tell us, these are, these are certain areas that we can work on to really, truly live a radiant life. Right. So that is all for the roadblocks. So what are 4 things that we need to note when we are looking to become more self-aware? Please, if you're with me, just give me a thumbs up, and I would move on quickly. Right. So 4 things to note when looking to become more self-aware. Where are my thumbs? I'm not seeing my thumbs. Are you guys with me? Okay, so 4 things to note when looking to become more self-aware. So the first thing is you need to accept that perhaps you are not as self-aware as you think, right? And it's accepting it with grace, treating yourself with grace, and looking at yourself objectively and saying, maybe I'm not as aware as I think, and it's okay. The point now is you are now aware of that, and you can walk forward from there. Then you need to question. So you need to question your assumptions. So some of us have some deep-seated beliefs about ourselves that are not necessarily the truth. So sometimes you need to question yourself, and it's not a bad thing. Even in Islam, it's okay to ask questions, but I think the it's knowing the limits, right? So, and this is where some people fall into, like, should I say, people that say that they don't believe in God and all these things. Sometimes over intelligence they worry, right? And for me, it's just knowing when to stop, right? So you can question things, right? It's okay to question things, but also, the appropriate places to seek for knowledge, right? So it's okay, question your assumptions, right? You can, I'm Muslim, why am I Muslim? It's okay, you can question it. From there, you seek knowledge, and you are able to now get answers that will now further solidify and ground you. And inshallah, of course, you pray and make dua that Allah guides you to the right path, right? Learn. You need to learn. You need to be open to learning new things. Have a learn mindset, right? A growth mindset. So you need to be open to learning. Then you need to seek feedback. Like I said, that feedback, you can't take it out, right? And one thing I wanted to mention in learn is this whole idea. There's something called the Johari window. So Johari window basically is, the whole idea is, there are some things that we know about ourselves that are known to others. So they call that your open window. So basically, I know this about myself and I've shared it with you, right? So now you know that I don't like when people come and take my food, especially after I've calmed down, because I've shared it. So that's my open window. I know it, you know it, right? Then we have the blind spots, where those are things that are known to other people, but I don't know about it, right? And this is where feedback comes in, right? I don't know about those things, but I'm okay. I'm just there. I don't know it, but other people can notice it about me. Then there's a window that it's not known to other people, and I also don't know it, right? That's my no, I know it, but it's not known to other people. So that's my hidden area. So those are things that I've decided not to share with other people. It's personal to me. I don't feel like sharing it, right? And there's the part that I don't know and other people don't know. So for example, a good example is, I don't know when I'm going to die, neither do you know when I'm going to die, right? So those are like your unknowns. You don't know it, and nobody knows it except Allah, right? So the whole point of the Johari window is you want to have more, you want to move more to your open area, right? You want to reduce your blind spots, right? Because in your open area, that is when you're able to maximize or do things that would make you live a purposeful and intentional and your best life, in quotes, right? So you want to have more open areas where you know about yourself and other people are giving you feedback, so that you can build more and you can develop a more rounded view about yourself, right? So what are the myths about self-awareness? So number one myth is, we think that the more we introspect and reflect, the more self-aware that we are. And research has shown that that's not necessarily the case. In fact, it has shown that the more we introspect, right, the less self-aware we are. And it doesn't mean that introspection is bad, because it's actually one of the tools of developing self-awareness, which I'll talk on just in a moment. But we are doing it the wrong way, right? So yes, it's good to introspect, but the danger there is in introspection, most of us fall into rumination. And that basically means we're focused on some certain negative thoughts, some certain negative reasons or beliefs that we think, okay, this might be the cause of something, right? And we are ruminating and ruminating. We stay there, we die there, right? And that's not necessarily it doesn't make us any more self-aware, because basically what we are doing is we are literally regurgitating and churning out what we believe, which might not necessarily be the truth, right? The second thing is asking why leads to more self-awareness. So I know a lot of us, in this whole personal development journey, they will tell you ask why questions. Why questions are not entirely bad, right? You need to ask why questions, particularly when you're thinking about stuff around, okay, why are you doing something? The purpose of something. But when you ask why questions, when you're trying to get information about maybe a certain character or a behavior, it's like a closed, it kind of puts you in a closed. So you know how they say this concept of closed questions and open questions. Why questions kind of, close, it gives you that closed mindset where you are trying to pick. And one thing we need to realize is our minds are very lazy. Our brain is very lazy, right? So it will just give you once you ask yourself why, it will give you the laziest reason, the first laziest reason that comes up. And if you're not careful, you're quick to just accept it as the truth. And that's not necessarily the case, right? So asking why questions do not necessarily lead to more self-awareness. Of course, talk about that on how to develop self-awareness. Journaling and reflecting is the key to knowing yourself. So yes, journaling is started. If you want to know yourself more, journal more, right? And again, research has shown that that's not necessarily the case, right? There's the right way to journal, and they are even suggesting that you don't necessarily need to journal every day or every single thing that happens to you, right? So there's a key way to journal. So journaling is not the only way to know yourself. Number 4 is, the people closest to you are the only ones that can give you feedback, true feedback about yourself. So I think by now we already established that, people do not want, the people that are closest to you, they do not want to hurt you. Of course, there are some people that, there's mutual trust to say, you know what, I know you love me so much, but I also want you to show that love to me by, telling me the truth. So you have that agreement to say, you know what, whenever I'm messing up, please call me to order. But naturally, people do not want to hurt you. And the closest people to you, of course, they don't want to shake the status quo of your relationship, right? So you find that friends that you've been friends with for like 15 years, they will not tell you where you're going wrong. You will now hear it from somewhere else, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean they don't love you. It's just that they don't want to hurt you. So you need to proactively tell people and say, you know what, I know you love me so much. I love you too, but I need you to tell me the truth on ways that, I can be a better person and all that, right? So even people that don't know you for that long can actually give you true feedback about yourself, because they see you and they can tell you things that you don't know about yourself. Now, lastly, feedback is the only objective way to develop true self-awareness. This is not the entirely the truth, because like we said, self-awareness is a balance of both your internal view and external view. So don't think that it's only until somebody tells you or about something about yourself that is the only truth. That's not the only truth, right? Because you also need to be aware that there's some people that are just naturally caustic. They might not like you, and they just want to give you bad feedback, and that might not necessarily be the truth, right? So you need to be able to know that there has to be a balance. So a good rule of thumb is, when somebody says something about you, you take it, thank you for the feedback, blah blah blah. If 2 people say something about you, it's most likely like a pattern, right? But if 3 or more people say one thing, the same thing about you, then chances are that is absolutely correct, right? So you need to be able to weigh those feedback, but don't just think that, because it's only by that you can't see yourself truly. You can actually cultivate self-awareness, but there has to be a balance. People need to give you feedback too, but that doesn't mean that that's the only truth to you. Right.